Welcome back, everybody. Sarcasm Speaks, Jared and Bob here. We're finally back on a semi-normal schedule. Um, but that being said, we got quite a few things to cover. Um, Obviously, we didn't record for like 2 weeks, and then the last episode was the recap of Italy. And in that time, basically in the last 3 weeks, we've got a lot of swings and misses on the death pool. Um, First of all, would be Dikembe Mutombo. Um, that was a tough one. I don't think no one's ever had him on the list. Um,
Must have been
but
a scummy pick.
yeah,
He
there's
had
some
brain
people that
cancer.
like get. Oh, he did. I didn't know he had brain cancer.
I
Jesus.
guess I'll fact check that to make sure I'm not
I mean, he might
disparaging
have.
him. I thought so. Well, let put it to you this way: definitely terminal illness, but
Yeah, I think if you, well, I mean, you also have great probability of if I think if you combine cardiovascular disease and cancer, I think you account for like 70% of death or something like that. I think each of them are around like a third. Maybe cancer's a little bit,
yes,
maybe cancer's like 25 and cardiovascular is like 30, but still, you're looking at like over half of all deaths are
yeah. I
between
mean,
those two.
he started treatment for a brain tumor in 22,
Oh shit.
and he died of brain cancer effectively 2 years later.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Well, I did not know he had brain cancer.
I
That
didn't either,
sucks.
but that would have also been a scummy pick had you taken him.
Right. Right. Right.
Now, also, none of us would have known that, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Um, so Matumbo, he died. Also, Pete Rose, he died. That was a tough one. Um, because to me, I know we've talked about this before, but I don't like the flack that Pete Rose gets.
You should be in the Hall of Fame.
He should be in the Hall of Fame. Um, he is the all-time leader in career hits in the MLB, and I don't think anyone is ever going to come close to that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
ridiculous. Like his lead is fucking crazy. I don't know what it is exactly, but
yeah, let me see.
I'll try to pull it up.
So, yeah, he bet on baseball, whatever. I don't really give a shit. Like, there's guys in the Hall of Fame that were doing steroids that there's other guys that they won't put in because they got popped for steroids. Like, I don't really give a shit about the whole steroids or betting on baseball. Um, because at the end of the day, he had way more hits than everyone else.
So he had 42.56.
All right.
Ty Cobb was actually pretty close, 41.89.
Okay.
Now, obviously, that's out of order. So if you bring that to like modern day, Derek Jeter was like 800 hits behind him. Pujols was like 900. Miguel Cabrera was over 1,000.
Yeah.
And if I'm looking for
A-Rod over 1,000 behind.
the next closest person right now is Freddie Freeman, who has played 15 seasons. He's 34 years old. He is a full 2,000 hits behind.
Wow. He's
Um,
the active leader. Like he's the
and
most.
Altuve is like right behind him. Altuve has also played 14 seasons and is also 34 years old.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, Pete Rose played 24 seasons, but
Right. Well, it's also different because of the way they play the game
right,
today.
they don't play for
They don't
hits.
play for hits anymore. They play for either home runs or strikeouts. That's why home run numbers are up. Home runs and strikeouts are up, right? Because guys are just swinging for the fences every at bat because the analytics say it's better to hit a home run than it is to hit a single. And it's like, all right, but how about you get on base? How about you just don't make outs? There's a novel concept, right? Just don't make an out.
I'm
Yeah,
trying
but
to
if we
find
crunch the numbers,
anybody
they tell
in
us
their
that the home runs are
20s.
more effective. It's like, yeah, or you can just win games. I don't know.
Mike Trout, 1648 for hits. I mean, he's like the best player right now. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, Shohei hasn't been in the league long
not
enough.
true. I'm trying to
He's
find
a
anybody in their 20s, and I am fucking scrolling.
Otani's a weird one because he didn't he play like the first part of his career in Japan.
Well, they always do, so I don't actually know how old he is.
Well, that was the thing with Ichiro.
Right.
Because I think if you combined Ichiro's hits from Japan and the MLB, I think he was still behind Pete Rose.
So there's nobody in their 20s that has 1,240 hits.
Wow.
And that is a full Hall of Fame career behind Pete Rose.
Yeah. So in 9 Nippon League Baseball seasons in Japan, Ichiro had 1,278 hits. So if you add that to
He had 3,000.
3,089, yeah, that would have beat him. That would have beat Rose. That's 4,367.
So beat him by 100,
Yeah.
150, 111.
But you can't do that.
Yeah, but you can't do that
You
because
can't do that.
A, it didn't happen. B,
Right.
um,
It's a totally different league with a different competition level,
yeah, it doesn't.
right?
You
Like
can't.
if you have a guy that was able to amass over 3,000 hits against the greatest players in the entire world, obviously he's going to have a million hits in a I you can't I was going to call it triple A, but it's not triple A because it's not even triple A, right? It's Japan baseball. Right? Like the baseball has a triple A and it's not that. It's a totally different league, right? Like it just you can't do that. You can't combine them. So, yeah, Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. It's shitty that they're keeping him out because he bet on games. That's dumb. Um, put all the guys in. Like my thing is, if you were the best player of your time, you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose, I mean, arguably the greatest baseball player of all time, right? He got more hits than anyone else, right? I don't know if I could make that argument, but I'm sure someone more involved in the game could probably make a pretty compelling argument that Pete Rose is one of, if not the greatest baseball player ever, right? Just based on the fact that he got more hits than everyone. Um, Barry Bonds, in my opinion, is the greatest baseball player of all time. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
I mean,
Don't really
that's.
like put them all in the Hall of Fame because they were the
I would say
greatest of their
I don't know who
time.
the best. I don't know who the best pitcher is.
Roger Clemens. Oh,
Nolan
I thought
Ryan.
you were talking about like of our generation.
Oh, of our time.
Of our generation,
I mean,
probably
it's like
Clemens,
Clemens, Randy Johnson.
Greg
Who was
Maddux. I mean, Greg Maddux was a
Greg
little bit
Maddux?
before us, but still kind of us.
Yeah, but he's the same era as Clemens.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause it's not Andy Pettit
Randy
or
Johnson.
Mike Mussina. Yeah, I was gonna say that was like so the big unit came to mind. I mean, it's not Schilling.
No,
Truthfully, as much as I like Pedro, it's not Pedro.
no, no. Pedro
Um,
might have had at his peak, he might have been the best pitcher,
he
right?
might have had the
But
best. He might have had the best stuff, but he's definitely not the best
he's not the
career
best career. He's not the best career,
pitcher.
right? That's right. Like if you had to pick one
Yeah,
peak
it's probably
season,
Clemens, another
Pedro
guy.
might be
So,
up there.
I mean, like, dude, and it's like it's so fucking hypocritical that like they just turned a blind eye to steroids. So, like, again, I will say they turned a blind eye to steroids. I'm not going to say that they actively promoted it because that's mostly speculation, right? If they did, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised. Like, do not get me wrong. Like,
I think it was active promotion behind the scenes. I don't think in the public eye they were promoting steroids, but I think behind the scenes they were like, yeah, yeah, go for it. Our ratings are at an all-time high. Yeah, yeah, it's fine.
Oh,
You guys
it could
should
also
call
be what, like
Balco.
a like, hey, you can't take steroids, but we're not gonna
Yeah,
say anything
yeah.
if you
Hey,
take them.
you guys aren't allowed to take steroids. Oh, okay. Are you going to test us for them? No,
No,
you can't take them.
no, just they're bad.
Yeah, you just don't take them.
Um, so yeah, I mean, like the guys we're talking about, like Bond's best hitter, Clemens best pitcher from 1984, probably like 1984 to 2010, 2005, whenever the fuck he stopped.
Yeah.
Because he was also doing that goofy shit where you just like show up halfway through the year,
He, he would retire at the end of every season and then unretire in July,
which
which you can't get tested for
can't
drugs
get tested for
if
steroids
you're
if you
retired.
retire. Not saying anyone did that,
Yeah.
but
But I mean, he was 42 years old throwing
and he
96
retired every
miles an
year.
hour.
Well, plus he got caught, didn't he? Like, isn't that on record?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like we have Clemens, Bonds, Rose, and none of them are in. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But it's like Harold Baines is in.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
Awesome. Great.
Isn't Ozzie Newsome in too? Like,
Was he the shortstop?
yeah, he's the
No.
guy that did
No,
the
no, no, no. Okay,
cartwheel.
hold on. Ozzie Newsome's in the NFL. Wasn't he the GM for the
Oh,
Ravens?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, who's the
Ozzie
guy?
Smith, the
Ozzie
Wizard.
Smith. Yeah, that's a, yeah, yeah, the Cardinals. Shortstop for the Cardinals.
Yeah. I don't know how good or not good he was. Barry Larkin in, because it's like if you want to talk about the hall of just like really fucking good, but like never the best.
Well, yeah, I mean, Craig Biggio is in. Like that is by
He is
definition,
esto facto fucking
the Hall of
longevity.
very good but never great.
Baseball Hall of Fame, Barry Larkin.
Yeah, sick.
What was his career? 86 to '04. So from 86 to '04, I don't think he was ever once the best shortstop in baseball. Maybe 95. He did win an MVP. I guess that's not fair. If you're the best player in
Yeah,
baseball, I
but
guess you're the best
also
shortstop.
you want to talk about he started in 1986, so 10 years into your career, magically in the middle of the steroid era, you win an MVP.
We also won an MVP the year before Jeter showed up.
Yeah,
And like that was probably A-Rod's second season.
right, right. So it's like Jeter and A-Rod are literally children, and it took you 10 years to win an MVP.
Fine wine, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, doesn't smell fishy at all. And also Barry fucking Larkin, right? Like Barry's
Yeah,
cousin
again, good
Larry
player.
Larkin.
Good player. Jimmy Rollins win an MVP?
He did, yeah,
Him and Ryan Howard won them back to back, I think,
yeah,
actually. Um, yeah, Barry Larkin's got like a lot of Jimmy Rollins. He's probably better than Jimmy Rollins, honestly, but
but I'm just saying
like that's what we're
it's kind
talking
of
about.
weird that a guy wins his first MVP 10 years into his career.
Uh, So that's a little less weird because that's like I don't know how I closed it out. I was gonna say I don't know how old he was in '86. Like if he came up as like a 22-year-old and then like 9 years later you're 31, like
Yeah,
before like that kind of used to be people's like
right.
peaks and whatever. Because like even well I guess Bonds was better earlier with the Pirates. I think he won an
Yeah,
MVP with the Pirates too.
yeah. People
Um,
forget Barry Bonds won an MVP with the Pirates. It was
yep,
like, oh, he just went to the Giants and just got huge. Well, yeah, but he was also really fucking good when he was on
yeah,
the fucking Pirates too.
yep. That's the thing is like look at some of these steroid guys. It's like they weren't very good at hitting a ball, and then it's like yeah, when they hit it, it went far, but like
Yeah,
they still weren't that good.
yeah. So he should be in, like I said. And then the last one that I have, I think for now, I don't know if the other people have died, but the three that I had written down, the third one is Maggie Smith. So that was to be better known as Dame Maggie Smith. She was Professor McGonagall in the Harry Potter movie series. She died also too. I will say I had her on my death pool in 2022.
Too early.
So I can't claim any, points on that one. Um,
You get the
but
hand grenade award.
yeah. But I think so I made a note. I need to go back. Now, it's tough because you could play the game of like, well, yeah, it was 2022. So obviously it's long enough ago where like there's so many people on the list that are probably going to die, whatever. Like I said, you can make the argument. However, 2022, although we didn't hit that many in the year, I don't think. Or no, was 2022 the year we hit a lot? Or was
I
it?
don't know.
I don't know.
Who was it?
Um, so the 2022 death pool, this was the far out one from Chris. He had Joe Rogan on and Machine Gun Kelly and Ringo
Yeah,
Starr. Ringo Starr, is he alive? Did he die? I
I can fact check.
feel like he's still alive. Yeah. Yeah, he's still alive. Because I feel like he's the
Yeah,
he's the
he's
one that's like,
84.
fuck you guys, I'm gonna be the last Beatle.
I wrote a song about an octopus.
Yeah.
Yes,
Um,
he is alive.
but Queen Elizabeth, I think we hit in that year, right? Mike had her. Um, Mike also had Jimmy Carter, which I think Jimmy Carter, he just turned 100.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's probably on his way out. Um, he also had Antonio Brown, Jake Paul. Jones had Marv Albert. I don't know if he's alive or not. He is still alive. Marv Albert's still alive.
Yep.
Judge Judy's still alive. Bob Dylan, Howard Stern, both alive. Um, you hit on Marsha Hunt. That
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah. And you also hit not in that year, but later on, Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger is dead. I think he died this year, earlier this year. You also had Road Dog Jesse James, who I believe is still alive,
I believe he's alive and well.
and Kanye, who is also alive, but not
Alive and
well.
well.
And then, so I had Tony Bennett, who died this year, and Maggie Smith, who died this year. I also had Lamar Odom and Noam Chomsky. Is Noam Chomsky still alive? Noam Chomsky. He is still alive. Wow, he's 95 years old. All right. Um, and then we had honorable mentions of Mikhail Gorbachev and Rosemary Harris and Bob Cousy. Is Bob Cousy still alive? I feel like he is still alive. Yeah, he's still
He's
alive.
96. Holy shit.
Gorbachev, he died in 2022. Oh, so we hit that one. We hit that one that year.
Make some notes here. What are you doing?
And then Rosemary Harris. She's for sure dead. I just don't know what year she died. Wow, I take that back.
He's very much alive.
She is not for sure dead.
She is
Um,
97 years old.
yeah, she's 97. Um, so anyone that doesn't know, Rosemary Harris is the Aunt May in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man that came out 20 years ago. She was old 20 years ago.
Well, yeah, dude, she was 75.
Yeah, yeah, she was 75. Now she's 97. Um, but yeah, so I think 2022, like I said, you can really only count it if you hit it in the year or the next year, right? The following year. Um, but all things considered, we've had a lot of people from 2022 die. And I know you can say like, well, yeah, it's been long enough. Obviously, you pick old people, they're going to
Yeah, plus
die.
you pick old people. That's what old people do. They die.
But if you go back to 2021, like
They're
We
all probably
didn't,
still alive.
yeah, we didn't have as much success in 2021.
Well, I think Jones hit a few. I don't even know the years anymore, dude. It's like
Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't really
I
care.
hit Bob Dole in 21. Oh, maybe 2021 was the year we had good.
I think we hit a bunch in that year.
Yeah, so I hit Bob Dole. Chris hit one of the Rolling Stones, and Jones hit two. He had Betty
Yeah,
White
okay.
and Norman Lloyd.
Okay. That's what sounds
He also
familiar.
had Jim Einhoff, who I think is dead now. Yes, he died this year. Jim Einhoff. Yours is pretty good. From 2021. You had Joe Biden. He'd still, well, I mean, depending on who you ask, you
Oh, that
might
was when
you
Jack
you
Ma
might
went
have hit that
missing,
one.
right?
Yeah, Jack Ma, Joe Biden, Mike Ditka, who is dead, right? He died this year or last year. And then Britney
It
Spears and
might be
Jimmy Carter.
it might be fake.
Jimmy Carter's been on this list forever. Just won't die. Are we sure Jimmy Carter's not British?
Dude, I think Dick is still alive.
Ditka's still alive? Oh, was it Butkus that died?
I want to say Dick Buckus is for sure dead.
Yeah, Dick Butkus died last year.
2023.
He was 80. But Ditka's older than him, I think.
84.
Yeah. So those are all your celebrity deaths that we missed in the last 3 weeks. So now that we're caught up there, I want to get your take on something that I think is hilarious, but also retarded. You've probably heard of it because it's local, but this made the news. I think it made national news. It was all over Twitter, but this was maybe like a week or two ago at this point. So maybe you didn't hear of it because you might have been in Italy. But Tufts Lacrosse um, was doing some like off-season workout program, and they decided to bring in ex-Navy SEALs or current Navy SEALs. Truthfully, it doesn't really matter. Um, they decided to bring in guys that were or are Navy SEALs to put them through a workout. And I think six of them ended up being hospitalized with
Think
rhabdomyolysis.
think it might be 12, but
12. Yeah.
I think it was
12.
12 hospitalizations and 3 critical.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, like I said, obviously it's an awful situation. It's shitty. It's somewhat hilarious because people are like, oh, I should train like a Navy SEAL. That's how I'm going to be good. It's like, okay, well, no, that's retarded. But it is also retarded because you hired a Navy SEAL to try and get you ready for lacrosse, right? Like, listen, I as someone who played lacrosse for 5 years, like, you don't need to be a Navy SEAL to play lacrosse. I'm just gonna put it very bluntly. um, so pretty fucking dumb.
Yeah, I mean, this is like it's one of those things like I think we're going to get to a point pretty soon or maybe not, but like you're not just you can't just bring these fucking people, these like random people in to do whatever the fuck they want when they want to, because what you're gonna start to see too, because it just seems to be happening a little bit more often. And it's like I don't know if you heard about the kid from Brockton that collapsed at basketball practice. 11-year-old like middle school kid, he died.
Oh no,
Like,
Jesus Christ, I didn't hear about that.
yeah, it happened. It's like
What the fuck?
you're starting to hear a little bit more about some of this stuff.
What was his deal?
That those details are not going to come out because I mean, dude, the kid's 11. The kid was 11.
Well, yeah, no, yeah, I
Well, he was
just
at he was at basketball practice, went down.
yeah, like
Uh,
heart attack.
Again, it's not that
Yeah,
information is
yeah,
not
that
available.
stuff's whatever. But I guess I'm more interested in, was it the coach being a dickhead coach, being like, "Oh, we're gonna run until someone pukes."
Can't tell you,
Yeah,
but so this is my take, like especially on that is regardless of what the coach did, there has to be something pre-existing because 11-year-olds just don't go down like that, right?
true. Yeah,
So there has to be something pre-existing and potentially, I don't know what they were doing.
right, right.
Don't know. Don't know what the kid, don't know anything. Um, but you're gonna start to see pretty fucking soon, like Tufts Athletics now, because Tufts Athletics has strength conditioning, like
Yeah,
with a staff, not
right,
just like one dude that works like kind of when he wants. Like they have a strength and conditioning staff,
right.
and someone decided to bring in a fucking Navy SEAL.
Yeah,
Like Tufts, I guarantee you going forward, just because of insurance and liability, Tufts is going to say no outside people would do workouts anymore, and none, zero,
right,
period,
right.
done.
Yeah, like not even
Like
yoga. Like I would imagine, like you're not even gonna get an outside
nothing,
yoga person
nothing.
to
You are
come
going
in.
to get nothing.
Yeah, yeah,
And are they a NESCAC school?
they are.
So I bet you other schools in the NESCAC are probably going to look at what happened at Tufts and go, "Yep, we're passing that too."
Yeah,
Because especially in the NESCAC, like we are academic schools. Like sports are cool. We'd love to have our athletes, but we are an academic school. We're not doing this.
yeah.
Like it's Division 3 athletics for
Who else
smart
is
people.
NESCAC? Brown, Cornell?
No,
No, not
Browns.
Cornell.
Those are Yale. I'm sorry, those are Ivies.
Those are
No, it's
Ivies. Yeah.
Bowden. I'm sorry,
Oh,
Bowden,
Bowdoin.
Bates,
Oh, okay, Bowdoin Bates. Yeah, yeah.
Colby. Like
Those. Yeah,
it's those schools. It's a lot more like moving up north. Um, but even just like a liability perspective now, because guess what? Someone's suing the school now.
yeah.
Like, and that's what's gonna
I would
happen. Like
imagine there's 12 someone's suing the school.
I mean, there's something there, right? Because
Yeah,
it's like, because that's the thing is there's no basis for what happened being like reasonable and sound training because it's Navy SEAL workout. It's like we're
right.
not Navy SEALs. We're Division 3 fucking student athletes.
Yeah, I'm curious. Not that it really matters, but I'm curious as to who brought him in. Like, was it a player or was it the coach? Right? Because if it was the coach, I'm never one to like advocate for someone losing their job. But like, if that was the coach, that coach needs to be fired.
Yeah,
It's
unfortunately,
just
yeah.
plain and simple, right? Like,
Where you put 12 people in the hospital, like you can't have that.
right, right. And you also
That's
circumvented
unacceptable.
the existing strength and conditioning staff, right? Like you said, they have a full staff. It is their job to train all athletes at the school, or at least, varsity athletes. Um, and you circumvented them and brought in a Navy SEAL, and now
In
12
the
kids
off
are in the
season.
hospital. Yeah,
That's the
in
other
the
thing
off
too, in
season.
the off season. So
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. It's fucking stupid, but um, yeah, I mean, you can't do shit like that.
yeah.
And I like again, it's like
I mean,
it's
rhabdo is no joke. You could it literally kills people.
well, 3 of these kids may never play again
Yeah.
because that's the thing with like rhabdo. So what if you translate from its Latin roots, it literally means muscle cell death, right?
Muscle cell breakdown. Lysis
Muscle
means
cell breakdown.
breakdown.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like I think too, it's like when you rupture a cell, it doesn't necessarily always come back if I'm
Yeah.
mistaken.
Muscle cells, I think, are pretty hard to regenerate
Right, because I was gonna say I
because
want
I
to
think they
say
scar. They turn into
yeah,
scar tissue.
I want to say it was like it's one of those things like if you get rhabdo, like the it's a permanent deal.
Right.
Like
Right.
so that's why I thought it was muscle cell death, but it's muscle cell breakdown. That's fine. Um, and yeah, it in extreme cases it could be fatal because it can fuck your kidneys up. Like it
Kidneys.
can,
Yeah. It'll
yeah, your
shred your
kidneys could shut
kidneys.
down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Because
mean,
all of the
like,
muscle tissue gets broken down, goes into the blood, and your
yeah, okay,
kidneys filter
that's
the blood, and your kidneys just literally, like, quite literally get shredded.
yeah, they just go fuck
Like,
this. I'm
yeah.
out. I'm head
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Um,
Like
and
putting a
that was
bunch of
like
paper clips in a fucking garbage disposal.
like early on in CrossFit, that was a big deal because like all
Yeah.
these workouts with people who weren't ready, that was just like such high volume. Like rhabdo was like a thing, and at first it was like, oh, it's like oh rhabdo. It's like there was a funny thing, and there was like a clown like Uncle Rhabdo, and it's like
Yeah. A
you are
Pukey the
fucking
Clown.
retarded. Oh, Pukey the clown, then like yeah, Uncle Rhabdo, whatever. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
you people are fucking retarded, and then it's like that kind of like went its way, whatever. Dude, like you can't be doing this shit with regular people. Because the other thing too is it's like
Dude, I think I know. I think now that I think of it, I feel like I knew someone that got rhabdo in their abs because one of the CrossFit workouts was like
400
it
sit-ups
was
for
yeah, or
time.
yeah, but it was like GHD sit-ups or something
Yeah.
where like you had to go all the way back and like touch the ground
Yeah,
behind
it's
you and
like
then come up.
10 sets of 100.
Yeah, yeah, you're doing like
Um,
150 reps, and it's like, dude, what the fuck?
yeah, and it's one of those things like the other thing too is it's like again, I'm not sitting here saying like, we had the most blue collar walk uphill both ways in the snow like upbringings, but like we would go out, run, jump, climb fences,
Yeah,
run the train tracks, do dumb shit, run from like we used to do like that type of shit.
right.
These kids kind of like aren't doing that stuff anymore. So it's like
Yeah,
to ask them to do certain things for time or certain thing like previous generations were probably built a little bit better for stuff like that.
for
And
sure.
I also think combine that with like it's just gotten more insane, like oh, like more
Yeah.
and more and more insane. It's like if you
Well, I
want to be a
mean,
Navy SEAL, it has to be that way. But even Navy SEALs, they go through basic first. That's what
exactly. I
basic
was just
exists
gonna
for.
say I mean, we know this, but it's progressive overload, right? Like you don't day one become a Navy SEAL and start carrying the log like a
Yeah.
mile down the beach, right? Like you go through a basic training and then you enter buds, right? So you go into you be apply to be a SEAL, right? When you go through the Navy basic training, and then you apply for SEAL school and you go into buds, right? And that's when you carry the log for a million miles forever and hold the fucking raft above your head for 3 fucking days straight or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's when you do the crazy shit. So they're already trained to a certain degree. You don't just walk in off the street and go, yeah, I'm going to do Navy SEAL training. I'm going to hold a log over my head for 6 hours. Like, all right, that's dumb, right? Again, because part of what the Navy SEALs are doing is training for mental toughness and acuity also, like it's built into what they do because quite literally it's part of their job, right? They again literally get dropped in the middle of nowhere where there's no electricity, nothing. Like there's nothing. You're dropped in the middle of the woods and they're like, "Hey, go kill that guy." That's 17 miles away. And they need to trek through whatever terrain they need to trek through for 17 miles to get to this dude, kill him, and then they get picked up, right?
Would you
Like,
say their job is to do hard things?
I would, yes, I think that is their job is to do hard things. Um, you don't need to do that. You, as a Division 3 college lacrosse player who's probably going to school for business management, right? And is going to spend the next umpteen
I knew a
years
kid who went for astrophysics. That kid was a
working
fucking
at
moron
places
too.
like Fidelity and like Arbella, right? Like or Liberty Mutual, right? Like you're going to sit at a desk for the next 45 years after your Division 3 lacrosse career is over. You don't need to train like a Navy SEAL. Sorry.
Never mind if you spent the night before like chasing girls and getting fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. I know,
But then
right?
it's like, oh, I got a Navy SEAL workout today. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
because like that's another thing too. For 12 kids to go down, yes, the training program has to be bad. But I'm also wondering if there was like a team party the night before,
Yeah. Could have been.
because that would accelerate things. But
Yeah. Yeah. It's shitty, right? It's really unfortunate that, because it
it's
is no
retarded. But this
joke.
is again, it's like I know I have a dog in this fight, not specifically to Tufts, but like in strength conditioning, it's like This is why you just can't let any retard fucking train your kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know that's not up to you because it's college
Right.
in that situation, but it's for everyone. It's like, you know, the D line coach fucking coaching lifts for the high school. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's the classic,
soon,
like, well, I played football, so I know how to lift.
yeah,
And
or
it's
it's like, I
like,
know how to
that
lift
doesn't
weights. I
mean
can train you
anything.
guys. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
you can't.
No, yeah, you
And you don't
can't.
know what you're doing. And it's like, well, our program works. It's like your program works because all these kids are going through puberty. You could give them fucking anything and it would work. Like puberty is the world's best fucking PED.
It literally, the kids are on steroids.
Yeah, just
Like
natural.
their testosterone levels are at
Crazy.
the highest that they will ever be in their entire lives. Like these kids are they're effectively on steroids.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna
So,
have a 17-year-old with like a 1200 nanoliter per deciliter testosterone, like free testosterone score. Like that's absurd. That's off the charts, right? Like but I think they say normal is between 400 to 1100. Like you're gonna have 16, 17, 18, 19 year olds that are some maybe in the 12 to 1300 range just because it's puberty.
so I think you're gonna start to see a, and it's gonna come. So this is the thing too. It's not gonna come from the state. It's not gonna come from the organization. It's gonna come from the insurance companies.
Yeah.
And the insurance companies are gonna say like, if you're going to have people coaching people, like they need to have a coaching certification. If they're going to run conditioning, you need a strength conditioning coach. Like,
Right.
and then it's like, okay, well, what can we do? And it's like, just don't run conditioning. It's like, okay. And then they just will. But like that, that's the kind of stuff it's going to take.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see more and more of this shit. Kids are less active than ever. So to put them in sports with a coach that's been coaching for 15, 20 years, it's not going to fucking be, it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I was going to say earlier when you're talking about like when you said, we weren't the most blue collar up the hill to both ways, whatever.
In the snow.
But yeah, and the wind. But that's the argument that a lot of people make about like kids and because I don't know if it still is, but I know a few years ago that was like the big argument about kids doing plyometric work and stuff like that. And like the argument for it was like kids are climbing out of trees and fucking jumping out of trees. Like that's plyometric work. Like that
Yes.
is, you're just not calling it plyometric because they're not jumping on a box. They're jumping out of a tree. Right. So for someone to say like, oh, an 11-year-old shouldn't be doing a plyometric workout, it's like, but okay, so they shouldn't be climbing trees either, or like jumping over fences, right? Like that's all plyometric. It's just not in a controlled environment in a gym on a foam box or a metal box, depending on where you are. Um,
Anyone who still uses metal boxes is a fucking
yeah, I
idiot.
mean, yeah, I know we did back in the day. How many times did I crack my
If I
shin?
rip my shin open on one
Yeah.
of those,
um, but yeah, I mean that's like that whole thing, right? It's like, yeah, well, obviously they're fine. They're kids, right? Like that's what they do. But if if they aren't doing that anymore, then they're just going to be detrained.
yeah, dude, a lot of them don't. It's weird. Like it it it's it's hard for me to understand when some of the parents tell me it's like, oh, why don't you call up Jared? He's around to do what? To like hang out or like go do something or like
Yeah.
ride your bikes. Well, where would we go? Anywhere.
Yeah.
Like
Like, why do you need a destination? Just ride
you
around and
just
do
go.
nothing.
I don't get it. It's like, what?
It's a game about nothing.
But yeah, they just don't. And that's the thing. Like they don't get it.
Yeah. If I were still in the world, and even more specifically, if I had ever pursued like the academia side of strength and conditioning, um, I think I would be very interested moving forward in studying ligament injuries over the next like 2 decades. right? Because inactivity is going to not necessarily weaken your ligaments, right? But it could, right? But it's you're not strengthening them because you're not doing outside activity. So like my thought process is, right? Like what you said before. We would go to soccer practice or baseball practice or whatever. And then after baseball practice, we would go run around. Like we would ride bikes. Maybe baseball practice was only 2 days a week, right? And then you have a game on Friday or Saturday or whatever it was. But the other days, again, we were riding bikes, we were jumping fences, we were climbing trees, we were doing stuff. If kids today literally just go to baseball practice and then come home and sit on the couch and play video games, like they're not getting that other stuff. And assuming they also don't go to a gym like yours, right? And do training. Like if they just go play the sport for 60 to 90 minutes twice a week and then come home and sit on the couch and watch TV or play video games, like what is going to be there? That was terrible English. What is going to be their rate of ligament injuries as they get older? I would
Well,
imagine my
so they're gonna be
hypothesis would be
crazy.
it's going to increase.
They're gonna be crazy high and just make it all connective tissue, not just ligaments. Because it's actually more tendons and shit.
Yeah.
But the so you actually so you take that aspect, but what you also need to add is that these kids are actually doing so they're doing less play
Yeah.
in unstructured activities, and they're replacing it with triple, triple, four, five, six times the amount of structured sport that we used to do.
Yeah.
So anyone that's in our age is going to be like, yeah, no shit. But like, I was a hockey player. I started skating in like September. Games started in like October. Games went till March. And this is when I was a kid. Like, this is like the rec season.
Right.
And they were done by the first week of April. So then April was baseball season. So I would play baseball. And that would go till like June ish.
Yeah.
And then in the summer, I was just fucking a kid.
Free roam.
Then in high school, I played golf in the fall, hockey in the winter, and yes, I would have to play some hockey in the fall too. But played golf, I played hockey, and I wasn't good enough to play baseball, so I didn't play a spring sport. So again, just kind of like doing my thing. These kids now, they play their one sport and they play it year round, and then they add sometimes another sport, and they do that if not year round, like 9 months a year. And it's
Yeah.
like you want to be you want to be a volleyball player. Because I went through this with one of our kids. So she wants to play volleyball. She would like to play in college. I don't know what level, it doesn't matter. She told me that one day she had camp in the morning, went to work for 6 hours. This is a 15-year-old kid. Went to work for 6 hours, went late to, sorry, it was captain's a camp, went to work, went late to a skill clinic, and then had a summer league game that night, all volleyball.
Jesus.
And I was like, do you ever think that's too much? She's like, I mean, it seems like a lot. I go, you do realize that if you're doing four things of volleyball, I'm like, you just can't put your full effort into it all. She goes, yeah. She goes, that skills clinic was kind of a waste. And she goes, and I had no gas left for that summer league game. I'm like, yeah, no shit. That's just simple
Yeah.
math.
Yeah.
And she also said, she goes, I'm not going to play basketball this year. And I go, personally, I go, I think that's a really good idea for you. And she's like, she goes, yeah, it's like, it's hard. It's like, they want me to play. I'm like, you should not play.
Yeah.
I go, because you're still going to play volleyball in the winter and you're still going to play volleyball in the spring and you're still going to play volleyball in the summer. And it's going to
Right.
be this fucking crazy ass schedule. And I also told her, I go, basketball is no different than volleyball. You jump, you're on hardwood floors, you never get to full speed. Like
Yeah.
it is the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like if you were to tell me that you were going to play hockey in the winter, I'd be like, you know what? At least it's different.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's the same fucking thing as volleyball. So you get no benefit from basketball.
Right. Right.
But that's where you're gonna see like the ligament, the tendons, because it's overuse, repetitive use,
Yeah.
and you're never getting that different stimulus. Like these, and don't even get me fucking started on these soccer players. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Like that used to be a whole thing. Like this was 10 years ago when I was in the world of fitness, but that's kind of when it started, right? We saw the beginnings of like the early specialization. Because I used to write about it for Iron RX, and I was like, you're not getting the benefit of cross sport training, right? Like if you want to be better at lacrosse, right? Maybe it makes more sense to play soccer in the fall instead of finding a fall league because lacrosse is usually a spring sport. So that's when your most competitive, season's going to be. Maybe it makes more sense to play soccer in the fall, right? Then you're going to get your endurance. You're going to develop your endurance. You're going to work on your, you know, foot coordination, right? Like you're going to have all of this going on there instead of just constantly beating yourself down playing lacrosse all the time, right? Like maybe in the winter you play basketball. And maybe with basketball, it's a little bit more of like a technical skill transfer because of the movement in the sports is very similar when you play offense and defense, like the way you move it around and the way you like defensive slides and things like that. Like lacrosse and basketball have a lot of crossover. So maybe you like by osmosis get better at lacrosse concepts by playing basketball, right? And all of the while, you're still not beating the shit out of your body playing lacrosse 12 months out of the year.
Yeah, that's not how it goes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No. And then even like, so it's like even some of these soccer players, they play town, they play travel, they play club. And then they add in, like skill sessions here and there. And then like then they'll still play basketball in the winter, but then they play like town and travel. And I'm like, how the fuck you on five fucking teams?
Yeah.
Like now maybe like town soccer ends and town basketball starts, fine, but club soccer didn't go anywhere. And then they do like indoor leagues. It fucking never ends. It never fucking ends.
Yeah.
And it's like amazing. Like these kids they're playing more sports than ever. They've never played this many sports. And athletes are fucking worse off than they ever were.
Yeah. I believe it.
Like the whole like this is like the kind of like the whole world too, or especially in the US. Like I mean, hey, I've left the country once, right? So now I've got opinions on the world. But like
Very
we
worldly
we
now.
think we're so fucking smart and we're fucking not, right? Like
Right. Right.
like we have probably some of the worst obesity issues in the world. Now I know we have 300 million fucking people, so it's like it gives us more
The absolute number.
cracks
Yeah.
at
But I
it.
think percentage wise, we're still up there.
Yeah. And it's like I know it's polarizing now to talk about RFK Jr., which drives me fucking crazy. It absolutely drives me fucking nuts. Whatever
Oh,
that
dude,
fucking
Maha.
I don't even know what
That's
that is, but whatever
make
that
America
interview,
healthy again. That's what everyone's going
Jesus
around
fucking
saying. Oh,
Christ.
instead of like MAGA, everyone's like, oh, it's Maha. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
And
Christ. What
so
are we
what?
doing?
So I think RFK said something, and then there was an interview with Trump, and Trump was
Yeah.
saying, he's like, yeah, he goes, honestly, he goes, we do the most to our food,
Yeah.
and we're amongst the unhealthiest. He goes, in other places, and I think he might have said Europe, he might not. I was in Europe, but he's like, they do less to everything, and they are healthier. He goes, there's something to look at with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And I 100% am on board and I am behind the concepts that RFK Jr. is saying.
But, so
It's
before we
when
even
the
get to,
things
but
get
like
corrupted, right?
before we
Because
even get to RFK,
everything
what
becomes
is there
politicized.
anything wrong with what Trump said?
No,
Is
no,
there
there
anything
isn't.
false about what Trump said?
Nope.
Okay. So now when you fucking lump in the fact that that connects back to RFK Jr., now people are like, well, no, it's not. That's not true. And it's like, what the fuck do you mean it's not true? And it's like, well,
Yeah.
RFK. And I'm like, what the fuck does he have to do with what was said in that minute and a half clip I watched?
Right.
What the fuck does he have to do with that?
Right. Right.
Well, RFK bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? Because then it's like, and I was talking to Michaela with it, and she asked me about like the Ozempic thing, and I'm like, I don't know anymore. And it's been politicized,
Yeah.
and originally it was supposed to be like for people with obesity, because if you true people with real actual obesity can use medication, like that's a thing.
For sure. Yeah.
But now it's like a fucking performative drug. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, I don't personally, that's not me. Like, if you don't have a medical reason to take a drug, don't take it. Like that, like
Well,
that's just kind of
so
me.
kind of similar to what we saw a couple of years ago when there was a new medical procedure available to people. And we were sitting here and other people, not just us, not that we're on, a connotation over here, our high horse, but a lot of people were saying we won't really know the effects for at least a decade, right? Same thing with Ozempic and all the GLP-1s because they're huge. They're a fad right now. Everyone's taking them. People, like you said, and I am of the mind also that the people that have extreme obesity and also, hey, people with diabetes, because it is it's a
Yes.
diabetes drug. It was
Well,
developed
that's the
for
thing. So,
people
like,
with
diabetes is a medical
diabetes.
condition, as
Yeah,
is obese. Obese. That's the thing.
right,
Obesity is a diagnosable medical
right.
condition.
Obesity and diabetes go hand in
The
hand.
fucking BMI thing, it fucked everything up because
Yeah,
then it put people in the obese range, but it didn't diagnose them with obesity. And it's
right,
like
right, right.
you
So,
lose track that this is like that's an actual medical condition, not the
right,
guy on the fucking corner like that's going to buy cigarettes right now. Like, yes, he's fucking overweight, but like
right,
he's not clinically fucking obese.
right. So again, I do think it has benefit for people that it was originally intended for. And
Imagine that.
I'm not like a complete anti, oh, Ozempic, oh, you're cheating. You're taking Ozempic, you're cheating. Listen, if you're
No,
overweight and you need a little kick to like lose a little bit of weight to feel good, to then pick up
build the
and
momentum.
build the momentum and go, okay, now I can start working out. Now I can start eating better. Now I can do X, Y, and Z and change your lifestyle. If being on Ozempic for like, 2, 3 months is going to give you that kickstart to change your life, sign me up 100%. Go for it, dude. But the people that are on it long term, there's going to be a lot of issues. And again, this is one of those things. We're not going to know the real side effects for like a decade because some of the studies that are coming out now are showing that people that are on Ozempic, when they lose weight, they're not just losing fat, they're losing everything. So it's causing sarcopenia, right? In some people that have extended use, which for anyone that doesn't know, that means extreme muscle loss. So like old
Yeah.
people, like typically elderly women are diagnosed with sarcopenia just because women have lower muscle mass in general and you lose it as you get older. So sarcopenia is very common in elderly women. So you're seeing people
It's
start
also
to
a risk. It's
develop.
also a risk factor for death in older populations.
Correct. Yeah. So you're starting to see people develop sarcopenia after being on Ozempic for an extended period of time because you're not just losing fat, you're losing everything. So you're losing muscle, you're losing bone density, right? So like again, let's fast forward a decade from now. What are the statistics going to say of people in their 30s and 40s that fall down and break their hips or broken bones or break an
Yeah.
arm or like what is going to be the statistical change of broken bones for people sub 60, right? Let's keep it sub 60 because once you get over 60, bone breaks are going to be more common again for the same reasons I mentioned with sarcopenia. You get older, shit just doesn't work as good as it used to, right? So if you're on Ozempic for a long time, for say for like a year, right? From 32 to 33, right? For a full year, and you lose a ton of weight, right? But you weren't really obese. You didn't need to. You went from like 215 at like 5'8" to 175. Awesome. Great. That's awesome. You probably look great, right? You feel great. But then something happens and maybe you trip and fall down the stairs when you're 42 and you completely shatter your hip.
Well,
Well,
even say
that's not
say
normal. right? Like maybe you get
say
a,
running is an exercise for you, right?
yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Running. That's a good one.
I love to run, and I was always overweight, but like
All of a
I've
sudden
lost
you
all
get
this
stress
weight.
fractures in
Yeah,
your
then you
tibia.
need microfracture surgery. That's fun. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Ask any kid who's had microfracture surgery. Tell them they'll tell you how much they love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they recovered from it when they were on PEDs, the natural ones we spoke of earlier.
Right.
You're recovering it from it when you're old and washed up.
Right. Right.
Good luck. You
Yeah.
ain't
All
running
those,
again.
yeah, people that are trying to run afterwards. Oh, I'm gonna start. I'm
Oh,
gonna
and
be
then
a
when you run
runner.
after microfracture surgery, just pencil in a knee replacement by fucking
Yeah.
52.
Yeah, with lower bone density, lower muscle mass. But yeah, I mean, you look great now because you're 175 pounds and you're
Yeah.
shredded. So cool, man. Good for you. But like, you're kind of fucked. Like, you look, that's one of those things you're sacrificing the aesthetic for long-term health.
Well, so here's the deal. Everything has a cost, right?
Right.
Every
Everything has
single
a
thing in this
consequence.
world has a
100%.
cost.
110.
You want to
That's,
smoke cigarettes, you want to drink alcohol. There's a cost.
yeah.
You want
Some
to
people can drink alcohol and smoke cigarettes and live to be fucking 92.
sure can. Here's the deal. You want to go to the gym. There's a cost there too. Like you
Right.
have to deal with soreness and you have to deal
Right.
with a level
Injury.
of consistency. Yeah, injury. Come on. You know better than that. But like you need to like there's a level of consistency that you have to commit to. Like you have to go. Like you have to keep up with it. You can't just go once and
Right. Right.
call it like a month. Like you need to continue to go. You need to carve it out. And it's like if you're only going so infrequently, then you go, you feel like shit, you feel sore as hell, you don't get any better. And that like that's a risk. I mean, no one gets harmed from that, but
Right.
that's a risk. Um, everything, every single thing, and every medication has a side effect. New ones, we don't know what the side effect is.
Right. So yeah, like I said, it'll be interesting to see, a decade from now what people are like because they're also going to be way less active. So you're going to get
It's
less
not good,
active. You're
dude.
going to take more Ozempic and GLP-1s, and you're going to, there's going to be, I feel like it's also the pendulum, right? The pendulum swings. So like
Yeah.
right now it's been swinging towards obesity. I think in the next 25 years or so, if I were going to put on my psychic hat, I would say we're going to have a massive issue with um like low, I don't know what it's called, but like low bone density and sarcopenia, right? Like I think those are going to be major issues for people in their 40s and 50s where it shouldn't be until you're in your 70s and 80s.
So anecdotally, I will say it does seem like a lot of parents of teenagers. So like let's just pretend um most people have children between what 28, 32. Would that be a decent
I
average
think
range?
in today's world, yeah, I think that's
Or in
fair.
Massachusetts, right? Because that's where we are. Like
Yeah,
if you're in
yeah.
Georgia, it's probably
I
skews
mean, if you
younger.
asked me 30 years ago, I would say it's probably between 25 and 30, but I think
Yeah, so
it's
I
trending
think 28
older.
to 32 is probably a pretty safe
Yeah,
average
yeah,
range, right?
yep.
So if you have a teenager and in the middle of the teens is a 15, 16-year old, we're talking 53 to what did I say? 40. No, what did I say? It was 43 to 47.
Yeah, from 28 to
Is that my math?
32.
28 to
28,
32. And if you got a 15-year-old,
yeah, 43
so
would be
call
the low
let's
end.
just call it like, 46 to 50, age 46 to 50, because I
Yeah,
think they might skew a little bit older. It does seem like a lot of those people are starting to at least embrace the idea that I do need to lift some weights to build my muscle, build my bones, and make sure
yeah,
that like as I get older, this is not going to be a problem. And it's like, I don't need to work into the fucking ground.
right.
You don't need to fucking kill me. Like I'll get moving, no problem. But like I'm not gonna lift. I'm not gonna bench 100 pounds. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna squat my body weight. But I need to be doing this stuff, and it does seem to be skewing that way a little bit,
yeah, it's
at least
super
with us.
important. Like
And
as you
we
get
in our
older,
population, it's supervised, right? So
it's almost more important to lift weights and exercise as you get older. Like in your 40s, 50s, 60s plus, you could make the argument it's
You have
more
to.
important to exercise than it is in your 20s.
You have
Right?
to,
Because in your
because
20s, you're like still made out of rubber, right?
right.
Like
So if you
bounce.
take and
Right.
if you take cancer and cardiopulmonary, I guess, disease
Yeah.
issues out of the equation, with old people, their biggest issues are slip and fall. And
Yeah.
slip and fall have a couple different things. One, you don't have the strength stability balance and you could just trip.
Yeah.
When you do hit the ground, you don't have the resiliency to not break.
Right.
And what they say with grip strength, such a good indicator. It's as simple as if you are going down a set of stairs, if you have better grip strength, you can grab the railing.
Right.
It's not like grip strength is this magical thing.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I've seen now the other thing too is though, you can't be a weak person and have good grip strength. You
Right.
can't
Right.
really get around that. So if you
Yeah.
do have good grip strength, then you have strength somehow, some way, somewhere, like contractors squeezing drills, holding hammers, like those guys have like man strength.
Yeah.
And same thing with women. Like if like they're always
Hey,
grabbing their kids,
kind of
carrying their
weird how it's usually those guys, right?
they don't die.
We make the jokes about like being booze bags and smoking cigarettes and
They can't
live
die.
until you're 92. What else is also in with them? It's typically the guys that were the fucking mechanic or
Yeah.
the carpenter or those guys, assuming they don't get popped by cardiovascular disease or cancer, right? Like they're the ones that are going to live to be in their 90s because they were active all the time. They were their forearms were probably like some thighs,
Yeah.
right?
So you shake
Like
your hand and it's like a fucking like you shake the hands with a mason and it's like their
yeah.
hands have taken on cinder block properties. It's fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Like
But
those are the
even
people that are going to live longer.
like the moms that they carry the kid in the thing and they're
Right.
lifting the kids and they go grocery shop and they're carrying the groceries and it's like they got groceries in one arm and another kid in walking in one hand and another kid's like hanging off their fucking neck or
Yeah,
something and they
yeah.
somehow get everyone in the house like um because that's a thing too like the working mother because women struggle with these issues more than men, but like the in-office working mom is fucked. Like you are absolutely fucking screwed if you don't
Yeah.
do any type of strength training.
Yeah. Yeah, women especially, right? And I mean, I used to say this all the time to clients when I was a personal trainer. Like, if I had an older woman, I would say it's very important that when you come in and we work together, that we do some sort of strength training and resistance
Have
training.
to.
Because the one thing that makes me cringe, it's literally nails on a chalkboard to me, is when people are like, oh, you want strong bones? Just drink more milk. It's literally like you might as well just run your nails down a chalkboard. Um,
It's actually
because
way easier
that
just to lift weights.
Yeah, because that is the dumbest thing ever. Simply drinking milk doesn't make your bones stronger. That's something that like got conflated with calcium because
With
they
calcium, it
started
puts calcium in your body,
yeah,
but it
they
doesn't
started fortifying milk with calcium because cow's milk doesn't naturally have calcium in it. They started fortifying it with calcium, and they're like, "Oh, calcium is in your bones, so that means It's like the extreme transitive property, right? So it's like, oh, therefore, milk is good for your bones. It's like, oh my fucking Christ! No, you know what's good for your bones? You know how you build bone without getting into like the whole osteoblast and osteoclast like biology of it, because I'm a
put
fucking
stress on it.
nerd.
Done.
You put stress on it. You put stress on it, right? Like there's a reason why, and I used to say this to people all the time, and I would watch like the light bulb go off on the top of their head, and I go, back in the day, right? When we used to call people husky, right? Like they weren't fat, they weren't obese, right? They were
What size
husky.
pants are you?
Yeah,
32
husky. Yeah,
husky.
yeah. And I go, what was the other thing that we used to say to describe people that were husky?
Big boned.
Big boned. Oh, they're just big boned. Well, where do you think that comes from? Where do you think they got those big bones? Carrying around a lot of extra weight, right? And like they're just thick. Like they're just thicker people because they have bigger bones because their bones have been under more stress. It's almost like it's a positive feedback loop in a way, right? Because the more stress you put on your bones, the more they're going to grow, the bigger you get, which means the more stress is on the bone. You know what I mean? Like it's obviously going to stop at a certain point, but that was the thing, right? You call people big boned because they're thicker, right? Like a frail marathon runner looks like they're going to fall over in a strong wind and break an arm, right? But you look at someone who's husky and you're like, oh, wow, they got strong bones, right? Like you get strong bones by resistance training, by lifting weights, not by drinking fucking milk. Oh, you gotta drink more milk. You get stronger bones. Okay, cool. Because you're just going to piss out all that calcium anyway. Or because it's not naturally occurring and it's fortified in the milk, the digestive enzymes in your stomach are just going to fucking destroy it, right? Because the pH level in your stomach is high. Yeah, acids are high, bases are low. No, I don't know. I'm not a chemistry guy. I'm a
I mean,
biology
it's
guy.
stomach acid. Does that make it acidic?
Yeah, it's very acidic, but I know on the pH scale, I don't know if that's high or low. I think it's low. I think low is acid, high is base. Um,
Um,
like I said, not a chemistry guy. I'm a biology guy. Um, it's probably just going to get destroyed in your gastric juice anyway. But yeah, keep drinking your milk, and then ask me why you broke your arm when you fell down. Oh, I drink so much milk. How come I broke my arm when I fell? I don't know. You lift any weights? Oh no, I don't do that. I don't want to get bulky, right? That's because that's the other. Oh, I don't want to get bulky. That was the other thing. I would be like, do you? Hearing people say that too is like it never really was an issue for me because I was never like a shredded, like I was never shredded. Like at my peak, I was like, I was, you could tell I would work out. But if I were, I would take massive offense to that because I would tell people all the time, do you have any idea? And this is a rhetorical question. The answer is no, because you don't have any idea. But do you have any idea what it takes to be quote unquote bulky, right? To look that way, to be like, oh, I don't want, bulging muscles. Do you think that by going in the gym for 45 minutes twice a week and doing curls with the 15-pound dumbbells, you're going to end up looking like a dude, right? If you're a girl, or you're going to, you know what I mean? Oh, I don't want to be too bulky. I want to stay lean. Do you really think that's what it takes? Do you think that's what those people do that look like that? Do you think they go into the gym and they lift the 15-pound weights and do dumbbell curls and shoulder flies? Do you think that's how they look like that? No.
that's a
That's the
conversation
dumbest
that
shit
I don't
ever.
I don't have those conversations anymore, thank God.
Yeah. But like it's that type of stuff just blows my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want to lift weights. I don't want to get bulky. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Because cumulative 90 minutes a week, you're gonna look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, you don't want that, right? Oh, I didn't know you were such a genetic freak that it only took you cumulative 90 minutes a week to look like a pre-show, a 1 week out from a show bodybuilder. Oh, that's crazy. You should be a professional bodybuilder then. That's wild. Yeah, pretty awesome. But on that note, now that I'm fired up talking about fitness shit, want to wrap this up?
Yep. So, like I said, I'm probably gonna have a month's worth of final thoughts all stemming from Italy. So, my first one is going to be that seeing it in person was really inspiring to see just how much the Italians hate the fucking French. Now, I've never liked the French. I know they don't like Americans, but when I went to Montreal, the French Canadians are just fucking assholes. It's like, fuck you. Like, where
Yeah,
the fuck do you get off
nobody likes Quebec.
on? So I never saw a reason to like France or the French. And being over there, boy, did they fucking hate them. So, a couple things. Number one, I texted you guys this. They claim that the French didn't know how to cook until the Italians showed up.
Yeah, so you did say this. You did say this last time.
Did I go through the whole thing?
I don't know, but yeah, I
Did I talk
remember
about the
you did.
Statue of Liberty?
You did.
Okay, never mind. We're gonna move on. Oh, but I did find out did I tell you about the phone?
Yeah,
How they
they
claim
claim
to
they made the first phone call.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I did find that, so I'll just go right into what that actually was. So it was Antonio Meucci from Florence, and um, so he studied, voice transmission, electromagnetic voice transmission. He was able to transmit his voice through wires in 1856. Um, so he installed something in his house, a quote unquote telephone-like device. Um, and he was able to speak to his wife like within the house. Um,
Like an intercom system
yeah, I
almost.
think something similar to that. I also don't know like why in
A tin can
Florence
with a string.
he needed he needed that. Um,
So
so
he could tell his wife to make him a sandwich.
I guess. So so he eventually like tried to file a patent,
Mhm.
and this is where like the semantics all come in because I'm not going to like read the whole patent. Um, but this dude did not invent the telephone as we know it.
Right.
He created something, and it just depends on like, what we're arguing here. Um, so no, it was still Alexander Graham Bell, and he is the first person to create the phone as we know it and understand it. Now, also, there was like, I mean, there's like a fucking lawsuit here. There's like a whole thing. Um, so the last piece that I will kind of like read is what the court, because eventually, like Alexander Graham Bell and this Meucci guy, like their companies went to court over patents, whatever. So, um, the last quote from it was the court held that Meucci's device consisted of a mechanical telephone consisting of a mouthpiece and an earpiece connected by a wire, and that beyond this, the invention of Meucci was only imagination. So his work, like many inventors of the period, was based on earlier acoustic principles, despite evidence of earlier experiments, and a final case was dropped upon his death. So he did not create the phone that actually called people. Um, and actually, I guess so. His patent described a quote unquote lover's telegraph, which is a tin can phone. It transmitted sound vibrations mechanically across a wire. That is not the fucking phone. But as prideful as they are, it's on one of the buildings. So as far as the Florentines think, they invented the phone,
That's pretty good.
which they did not.
Yeah, you did not. That's
Should
funny.
probably make notes on what I actually already talked about.
Or I could just tell you every time. Hey, you said that
That's
already.
true. That's true. Definitely talked about that. Yeah, okay, I'm done.
I got a fucking mustache hair stuck in my mouth. Um,
Figure it out, will you?
I know. So my final thought is I got a new phone last week. I finally upgraded to the latest and greatest iPhone. So I have the 16, I have whatever the fuck it is. Um, I had a 12 before that, so it's been 4 years since I got a new phone. Um, and it sucks. It's one of those like I'm not a new phone guy. Like I'm not a material possession guy anyway. Like I've never really have been. I guess maybe I was a little bit more in my younger 20s, right? Because kind of like you want nice stuff to like look cool to people and also appear better than you are because you're in your early 20s and you're just a shitbag that doesn't know anything. But at this point in my life, like I don't really give a shit. Like I don't need material nice possessions or whatever. Um,
Welcome to my world.
yeah.
I hate having things and stuff.
But so the phone itself is fine, right? It works exactly the same as my last phone. Um, it has a different charging port now, which is annoying because now I have to buy new charging cables because I had them like strategically placed around the house. Like I have one here at my work desk. There's one in the bedroom on the my dresser where I charge it at night. And then like I had a cord in my car, like if I needed to charge it in my car. Got to get rid of that one. So like I need to replace all of these charging cables that I've just accumulated over the years. But that's not why it sucks. What sucks is that you have to re-log into all of your apps.
Yeah, when
So
I got this phone, must it's been like late March, April.
yeah,
And now that sucked. So like I don't even use the Action Network anymore because I can't get in.
yeah, yeah. Like there was a couple, like I've had to reset my password to like three apps so far
Yeah.
because I just didn't remember. I don't know what it was. I'm
Yep.
like, okay, well, I guess I have to reset it. And it's just it. So I've had the phone for a week, right? And there's a dozen or so apps that I use on a very regular basis. And there's a few that like I very rarely ever use. And over a weekend, I'm finding myself logging into these like periphery apps and being like, ah, shit, now I gotta log in. Like today, on my way home from the golf course, which will probably be my final thought in the next episode. But on my way home from golfing, I stopped to get gas, right? And I have the Cumberland Farms like smart pay rewards system. And all it is you open the app, it geo fences, like it geotags where you are, and you're like, you're at the North Attleboro Cumberland Farms store number fucking 123. What pump are you at? And you just click what pump you're at, and it automatically transmits to the gas pump, and you just start pumping away. Well, I didn't know my password to log into that because it was Face ID login on my old phone and don't know what it was. So I'm sitting there in front of the gas pump trying to reset my password for this app, go to the email, change, go to the follow the link in the email, change the password, let it reset, close the app, reopen the app, put the new password in, log in. Oh, you're at the North Attleboro Cumberland Farms. It took me like 6 minutes just sitting there before I could actually start pumping my gas. Um, so it's just annoying shit like that, right? Like the Roka News app hasn't worked on my phone, just doesn't work now. So I haven't been able to like read the news and like keep up to date on some of the stuff that they do. I don't know if it's a glitch in their system, like it just doesn't support iOS, 18 or whatever they're on. Um, so yeah, there's just like some apps that just don't work. I gotta log into everything again. It's just annoying. Getting a new phone sucks. It's not that cool. Like I don't know why people do it every year. If I had to do this every year, I'd be pissed. That's why I get a new phone like every like 4 years, 3, 4 years.
Perhaps it would be easier if you did it every year.
Maybe.
Yeah, it blows, dude. Like, and the only reason I even got a new phone was when I was in Naples, Florida. Um, I got dropped off at the golf course, and it was like, okay, I'll let you guys know when I'm like almost done because I need to get picked back up.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on the putting green, and the button on the side was like kind of fucked up, so it's like the phone was in like perpetual restart. So before the round, I'm sitting there and I'm like, if this thing doesn't like stop, I'm a little bit stuck here.
Yeah.
And I got the phone to like kind of like settle, and I texted Michaela. I was like, "Hey, my phone is acting kind of fucked up, but like I'm teeing off at this time. Like if you don't hear from me, just come fucking get me."
Yeah.
So, and then even with it, it's like then I called her. No, I texted her. I don't know. I did something, and it's like I don't think the text went through, or she didn't look at. I don't remember what it was. It
Yeah, yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah.
But I'm like, this isn't gonna work. Like I gotta get a new fucking phone. Like. Oh, never mind. Like, yes, okay, you can always get a boarding pass, but I'm like, usually I just use my phone at the airport. Like,
Right, 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 right.
try to get an Uber.
Yeah. Yep.
If the phone doesn't work, you can't get an Uber. Like,
Right. Right.
so yeah, it's like one of those things, like just by need, but sucks. Yeah, like I haven't used the Action. Like I'm not using Action Network anymore. I can't log back in.
Yeah. So that's uh that's that. That's gonna do it. So thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to click the subscribe up above, hit the thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you're an audio only guy as well. Leave us 5 stars on iTunes and Spotify. It would be nice. You can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Twitter is Sarcasm_speaks. Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks. Website, sarcasmspeaks.com. Check out the show notes below. Support the sponsors, support us. And yeah, until next time, good night, everybody.